Welcome to part 2 of the Informix Flexible Grid demo in OpenAdmin Tool. In this part, we're going to be talking about monitoring grid commands and rerunning failures. We start by going to the grid page in OAT, which is located under the replication section of the OAT menu. Picking up where the last demo left off, we can see that my grid is already defined. So let's select this grid. When you are interested in viewing the commands that have been run on your grid, you should select the Status tab. Here I can see all of the commands that have been run on my grid. These commands have been run on the grid outside of OAT. I can see the command, the user who ran it, whether the command succeeded or not, and when the command was run. If I want more information on any of these commands, I can expand them. By expanding a task, you can see the result of that task on each server in your grid. By clicking on the server name, I can get even more information about the task and how it was run on that particular server. In this pop-up, I can view the entire command. I can also view other details about the execution of this task on this particular server. The first task we showed was a create table statement. Let's take a look at a few others to get an idea of what kinds of commands can be run within a grid. Here's an example of a command that changes an onConfig parameter on every server in the grid. Here we can see that we can also use grid to create a space on all servers within the grid. So far, we've only looked at successful commands within the grid. But what happens if one of our commands fails on one of the servers in the grid? As you can see, with OAT, you can easily find failed commands. You can expand a failed command to see which servers that command failed on. Clicking on the server name gets us the pop-up where we can see the details of this failure. We can see here that the failure is on a create table statement and that this table was being created in the space dbs1. We can also see that this command was run from the source server Chicago and that it failed on the server called Amsterdam. We can also see the error codes for this failure. The ISAM error code -131 is an indication of an out-of-space error. So to correct this, we'd first have to go to the server Amsterdam and add more space to dbs1, which we can also do in OAT. Right now, we're logged into OAT with the server Chicago, so our first step would be to switch to the server Amsterdam. Once we're logged into Amsterdam, we want to go to the storage page, which is located under the Space Administration part of the menu. Okay, so we're looking for this space called dbs1. We can see quite clearly here that DBS1 is completely full. Look at the % used column. To correct this space problem, let's take advantage of the storage provisioning feature in Informix 1170, where we can set up the automatic expansion of space and avoid these kinds of out-of-space errors. To use storage provisioning, we need to set up the storage pool and mark the space as expandable. Since DBS1 is already marked as expandable, let's go take a look at our storage pool. Here is our storage pool on Amsterdam, and it's empty right now. So if we define an entry in the storage pool, and we rerun the create table statement in DBS1, the Informix database server will be able to use our storage pool to automatically expand DBS1. For my storage pool entry, I give it a path. I'm going to keep my size as extendable, and I'm going to set the chunk size to 15 megabytes. Adding an entry to the storage pool is that easy, and now the Informix database server will be able to automatically expand spaces and avoid out-of-space errors. To find out more information about the storage provisioning feature, we have a separate demo in OAT, and I recommend that you check that out. Now that we've fixed the space problem, it's time to head back to the grid page in OAT and rerun our failed command. But first we need to switch back to our Chicago server. Remember that Chicago is our source server, and we can only rerun commands from source servers. Okay, here we are back looking at our failed command. To rerun a failed command in OAT, select that command and then go to the Actions menu. The rerun action will rerun the command on all servers on which it failed. In our case, this is just Amsterdam. Since we have turned on storage provisioning, this command should now succeed even though DBS1 is full. It will succeed because the database server will automatically add the space necessary. Let's take a look and see if our command actually succeeded. Right away, we can see here that our command has now succeeded on all servers within the grid. And, more specifically, it is now a success on Amsterdam. This now concludes our grid demo in OAT. Hopefully, you have seen how easy it is to monitor grid commands within OAT and how to correct failures should those occur.